Good morning, everyone. This morning we're going to talk about how do you sell to a customer that has a problem that they don't even know that they've got yet. Now, this is a question that comes up a lot when we invite people to the forum and we welcome them and we say, what's the biggest challenge that you have? Lots of time people say, I've got this great product, this great service, but my customers just don't know that they need it yet. So I know Sandhya, she was saying she's got an HR solution, and she's like, people need this because otherwise they're going to end up in problems later on when they're coming to, when they have employment issues. And if they haven't done this work up front, it's kind of a big mess later on. So how do you get people that don't know what problems they've got to understand? So I've got 3 tips for you this morning if you fall into that space. The first tip is, you need to be making sure around your business you're building lots of stats, data and case studies, because if people don't know they have the problem, they're going to need to see other people that have had that problem before. And it's a bit of social proof, but understand actually what the issue is. Now, I like to think back to I'd like to say the good old days, but it's the bad old days of the life insurance salesman that used to go around to people's houses and say to them, you're going to die and your wife is going to be left on her own and la la. And they used to go down this horrible guilt trip, which of course now is completely illegal and doesn't happen anymore. But what they did there was they told people about the problem that they had and gave them an example of what it was going to be like in the future. Now, I obviously believe in ethical business. So I'm not saying you do something like that, but what you do need is loads of case studies. So for example, any business solution that you're offering, specifically it's a service, the person that's looking at it is going to be interested in how does it save them time and how does it save them money. So you've got to give them case studies and say, for example, say it's this HR solution. Say, look, yes, my service is going to cost you this, like say £10 a month. But statistically, 100% of businesses within 3 years end up with an HR issue that costs them £20,000. So actually, if you took that £10 a month, £120 a year over 3 years, it's much more cost effective to have my service now rather than wait till you've got a big problem that you can't deal with. So by giving people those statistics and giving them the case studies, and then behind that you'll need the case studies and go, this is somebody that I worked with and I was called in at the last minute when they had the problem and it ended up costing them this much, and this is someone that actually had my service every month, and therefore when they also had the problem, they'd actually saved this much because they had my service. So that's a really, really good way. So making sure that you've got those case studies and you've got the statistics, because then you can have good conversations with people that are actually effective conversations because they understand the value of what you give. But you are going to need those real life case studies to convince them. The second thing is to be brutally honest. Make sure that what you're offering is actually commercially viable. Those of you that have heard me talk through my 6 levels of different businesses, the first level is actually having a concept business that's not commercially viable. Many of you will have heard me talk about Shivya Aradea, who is the young man that actually invented email, but he never made it commercially viable until a guy called Ray Tomlinson came along and he made it commercially viable, and he's the one that got all the money and was the one that was credited with the development of email. So sometimes you've got to look at the products and service that you're offering and go, actually, do you know what, is this a commercially viable product, or what do I need to do to make it more commercially viable? And that might actually be the brutal honest truth, is actually digging down and going, what am I offering, is this actually something that people want? And the third tip is sometimes it's actually about not just having one product or service. Sometimes the bottleneck is the fact that you just have one product or service, and what you actually need is several products and services. So if your product is to solve this problem over here, but people don't know they have that problem, what other product or service can you do leading up to that? So that maybe it's just that you're just focusing on the one thing, but if you took a step back and said, what other product or service could I offer my customer that will be an introduction to me, that will be them building that trust with me, building a relationship with me. It might be a smaller, maybe a more trial, something slightly different that they can to get used to you, so that actually then when you do say to them, the problem you don't know you have is this, then all of a sudden they'll have that relationship with you and they'll have that trust with you. So those are 3 tips to help you when you're in this problem. Obviously, there's other things you can do, but if you start in that place and going, get your case studies, get your statistics, make sure that you're commercially viable, and that what you've got is something that the customer wants, and finally have that range of products or services that lead your customer into it. I hope that's helped, guys. I'm sorry I've not been at my desk for a few days. It's been a bit crazy running around. It will continue being crazy. My kids break up from school this afternoon. But we will continue with the videos and passing you on as much knowledge as we can. I will have, I'll have my little people around, so you'll have the entertainment of those. This Friday, I'm hanging out with an Olympic gold medalist, so I'm going to see if I can drag him onto the camera at some point and get him involved as well. If any of you know anyone that thinks they can benefit from this forum, please do keep inviting them. We're only just over 2 weeks old and we're pushing over to 450 members, which is fantastic. And the exciting thing is over 380 members are engaged. Out of those 450, 380 are actually live and engaged in the forum, which is an incredible statistic. So it's so amazing to have so many of you here engaging in it. But please do invite more people. The more we have here, the more insights we have, the more conversations we can have. Please do comment, let us know below on the comments below what you think of this morning's talk and how you can use that in your business. Have a great day, everyone. Speak to you all soon. Bye.